Murdered Soul Suspect is an adventure mystery stealth game developed by Airtight Games and published by Square Enix, and released on June 4th of 2014 in North America and later on in June in other regions. The game is a third-person game that takes place in a modern-day town of Salem. The town is said to have a cryptic history regarding witches and how the town treated them. You play as Ronan O'Connor, who has an equally disastrous past that he is trying to move on from. Work your way through the town and help lost spirits find their purpose while you are on the search for yours.
Nothing can touch you. You never really lose.
Ronan O'Connor is a stern detective who is relentless when it comes to his job. He is on the case of a mysterious murderer known as the Bell Killer when his luck finally runs out and he gets thrown from a window and shot by the infamous killer. Surprisingly, he awakens as a ghost and receives a message from his already passed wife. If Ronan wants to reach the afterlife, he has to complete something that was undone in his previous life. This gruff detective now has to learn the rules of being dead while pursuing the enigmatic killer.
No! Come on!
The game starts off really intensely and the story is immediately gripping. The story unfolds organically and all of the characters are distinct and interesting. Even side characters are fun to eavesdrop on. The game is very dialogue oriented, so this step in design is very important and could easily be overlooked. Luckily, Murdered Soul Suspect pulls this off with flying colors, with the characters having great voices and great voice acting. I was surprised by the awesome facial expressions that express more emotions than what you would see in most games nowadays. You will also notice that the game does a fantastic job of characters talking over each other. I think games usually have a hard time achieving that in a natural way.
Backup? Who needs backup? You shouldn't have tried to be one of us.
The gameplay in Murdered Soul Suspect is simple. The town of Salem acts as your hub area, and from there you can enter the many different levels, like the police station or the graveyard. You mostly find ways to traverse the levels while in your incorporeal form. Some areas you can't access as a ghost, so having to figure out how to make your way through your environment is half of the problem. Sometimes you might have to possess someone to reach across an area, or you'll have to walk through walls to work around a demon-infested pool in the ground that you can't walk over. There are a ton of collectibles to pick up as well, to notes scattered around detailing people's lives, or invisible drawings that are sketched throughout the area that tell another story.
Or what was left of his face. It was a single eyeball just looking back at me, bulging out of a charred skull.
The only thing that ever stands in your way are demons. Demons are ghoulish spirits that can easily overpower Ronan if you face them head on. You can hide from them and sometimes sneak by them, but the best thing to do is to completely get rid of them by approaching them from behind and completing the QuickTime event. Even if you do fail, there really isn't any consequence. You can just try again from a nearby checkpoint.
What do you mean others can steal my future?
Demons. They were once like us but lost themselves. They can never move on now, and exist only to consume those lingering here. Those like us.
Even the actual mystery solving parts of the game bear no consequence. This is supposed to be like a crime thriller, where the exciting part coming out of all of this is figuring out what's going on, but there really isn't that much of it. What is here is super straightforward and only gets fleshed out in a linear fashion, so it never really feels like you're doing anything. There are times where you have choices to piece clues together to figure out what you should do next, and there is a rating system attached to how many times you mess up. The thing is though, the rating system doesn't matter at all. It's just there for your personal viewing. It would be more effective if there was something actually tied to it, like maybe a different ending or unlocking an outfit for a new game plus or something. Graphically, the game looks great, even for a game that came out 10 years ago. The game has a dark, gritty look and very fitting noir feel. Characters and environments are detailed, and I had a lot of fun just walking around and looking at bowls and food on kitchen counters. The soundscape conveys this otherworldly plane of existence in a neat way. Chimes and bells ring through hollow spaces and air gasps when you possess someone.
Seeing your own body lying on the street. It's like looking in a mirror you don't want to see but can't turn away from. And that's when you realize you no longer know which one's real and which is the reflection.
Murdered Soul Suspect is one of those games I wish I played earlier. It really reminds me of something akin to Shadow of Destiny. It's a crime mystery game, but you don't do a lot of detective work that's immersive for you as the player. The protagonist is relatable by being a hard worker that's actually caring and good at showing his emotions. The story is interesting the entire way through, but ends up being sort of lackluster by the end just because you aren't really doing anything through the actual gameplay. Even though the game isn't challenging, the story and characters really shine through more than a lot of games that come out today, and since this is a story-focused game, it helps with your overall experience. Murdered Soul Suspect is an entangling whodunit that is fun to play and is sure to raise your spirits. I give Murdered Soul Suspect a 7 out of 10.
Boo. Great. Another freaky ghost chick is shadowing me.